Ahoy, friends. It's me, Dave Landau. After a long night on stage, I like to kick back with a captain's hat and a fine cigar and watch the Dennis and Andy show. These guys are huge nerds, but they're the kind that you actually want to hang out with. Enjoy them. I do. Ahoy. It's Dave Landau, and you're watching Andy Smith, the coolest comic book creator around. Just ask his mom. I have. All hail Comicsgate. Bam! Bam! Bam!
Well, hello, everybody. It is Wednesday. It's a rainy Wednesday here, but that's okay because we bring the fun and the sun to you. And when I say the sun, that was my Amazon digital assistant letting me know something was delivered. When I say the sun, I mean the bright light beaming off of my head into your room. You could turn off all the lights where you are right now, and my dome could act as the beacon to light up whatever room you're in.
Oh, it could. And it is.
It is. There are actually no lights on in here right now. Just the big windows reflecting off my head. Look what I do. Want to play both of the Dave Landau intros because for those that don't know, we actually went to Nashville this past weekend and saw Dave and Steven Crowder in concert comedy. They were both fantastic. I feel so bad. I don't remember the guy's name that opened other than his first name is Matt.
Matt something, yeah, Matt Barr or something, but he was also a really good opener.
He was great. I did hear, because, I subscribed to Louder with Crowder, and I did hear them talking this week saying the Late Show got off, like it started later than they wanted to, I guess.
Oh.
So he apologized for the people having to wait outside and stuff in the...
So we were getting out, and they let us out the back, literally a door. They show everyone down. You couldn't even go back in for merch and stuff because they already had the next show lined up, and they were already trying to get them in. So literally, road out, road coming in, and it was a bit of a mess, I was going to say, but the show was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, the show was great. Very funny guys. Loved it. So that was good. So I figured to show both those intros. Dennis is going to do a little show and tell.
I'm just going to pop this open for those of you who don't know, and make sure you subscribe to the Dennis and Andy show on the YouTube channel. Some of you may be on it now. Others may be on Andy's, but I did my full review of it. This is the Bernie Wrightson artist book. It's the tribute where a whole bunch of people wound up doing some great fan work for Bernie. It was a Kickstarter program that they had put out. I'm not going to show it because I literally did an entire video on it this morning and showed you all the goodies. But for those of you who don't, this is a really cool hardcover book. Bernie Wrightson, I mean, who doesn't love Bernie Wrightson and the stuff that he did? So anyway, make sure you check it out. This is a really cool book.
I'm disappointed. I actually contributed a piece for the book. That book has been in the making for a few years. It was right after Bernie passed away that they reached out and said, if you wanted to contribute to it, that'd be great. So I did a Swamp Thing piece and I backed the book, and I saw my piece on the Kickstarter page, and I'm like, that's awesome. And they sold their original art. My book is in the mail, but I had Dennis bring his over to find out I'm not in the book. So I'm a little annoyed by that because, I did the art specifically for the book. When they got it, they were like, this is great. Thank you very much. I put a lot of work into the Swamp Thing piece. Very classic Bernie Wrightson Swamp Things. That's what I grew up with. Just to find out it's not in the book. But they sold their original. So, oh well. Hello, Marcus. Hello, Hojo. Crowder is back on YouTube next Monday.
But watch him on Rumble. If you don't pay for the Mug Club, watch him on Rumble.
That's right.
He goes into far more depth than he can on YouTube, and it's better.
That's right.
But I would say, let's say hi to the chat so we can bring in our guest.
Dave the Space Wizard, hello. Randy, of course, is here popping links like a madman, staying warm after a bout of snow. Yuck. It was cold enough in Tennessee for me. Tech Zombie, what is up? Hyper Kaiju in the house. Lots of people here. Christian Zaffo, hello, how are you? Marcus says, I watched the review earlier and everyone else should watch it too. Oh, everyone should watch it.
And I just posted the link to the channel, so it should be top on the channel.
Do you give CGC ratings on reviews like that?
Not on one like this. This was more of an unboxing than if I do a full review where I really break something down, I will. This was more of a show and tell unboxing than it was a full review. Because it's a big book, and I just wanted people to know, because it's still available on Kickstarter for only a small amount of time left. So I wanted to get it out there. Yes, it's still hours left, it said.
Oh, okay. Well, it's still available, so you can go get it, and you just won't see my Swamp Thing piece. All right, let's bring in our guest. Our guest is a man named Steve Dye. He is the creator, publisher of Rocket Magazine, the new magazine about independent comic book creators and independent comics. Issue 1 came out last year. I backed it. I got it. Nice thick magazine. Very cool. Nice articles, nice interviews. Issue 2 is live now. The link is in the description below. Hello, Steve.
Hello, Andy. Hello, Dennis.
Hello. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Yes.
Thank you very much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
No problem. So Rocket came out. The first one obviously came out last year. I thought it was really fantastic. I'm a print media guy. Dennis is too. I don't like reading stuff digitally. So seeing a new magazine about comics, I would love to see one monthly, but I'll take yearly. I was a Wizard guy. I bought Wizard. It was something I could look forward to every month, even though I knew some of the inner workings when it came to like the top 10 and all that garbage. It didn't matter. It was just, I liked those magazines.
I did too.
Comic Scene from back in the day, Comics Interview, Amazing Heroes. I got all that stuff as a kid.
Yep, good stuff.
Amazing Heroes, Alter Ego, all the stuff Roy Thomas did.
Alter Ego.
All that, it's very much, that was, certainly past my point of formative as a comics fan, but I got to where I looked forward to finding those at the LCS more than I looked forward to anything. And Wizard, of course, you could find that on supermarket shelves and that kind of thing. And it's a bit of an homage to that. It's trying to be its own thing, but it's certainly an homage to those magazines. I loved them. I got a stack of them back here.
Yeah, I still have a few. I don't have them all anymore. I did at one point.
Bring myself to throw old magazines. I've actually been paying storage for more years than I should mention. Just primarily some of my dad's stuff and old magazines. I've got stuff from the 70s, let alone the 80s. That
isn't it weird
to me, and I can't get rid of.
Isn't it weird how hard it is to? And there's the link for people to go check it out. But I was going to say, isn't it weird how hard it is to get rid of stuff like that? Like, I've got a bunch of the first Jack Kirby collectors that Tomorrow's Publishing did. I've got a bunch of the back issue magazines and the new Alter Egos. And I haven't looked at them in years, but I got them in a nice book.
I still go back from time to time. I'll get on a kick. Well, I'll just waste 2 days just rereading old stuff, you know. And it's one of the things I like about it is it's a bit of a time capsule, you know. I mean, you're reading about. Well, the other day I actually reread some stuff that Frank Miller did, and it was while him and Rodriguez were making Sin City, you know. And I mean, we can look back on, you know, the movie, the comic, this, that, and the other thing, but to read what Frank was thinking before the movie was released was, you know, it was a good read. I go back and reread that stuff from time to time.
Yeah, no, so do I. Like I said, I've got them back there in the closet, and every now and then I'll just pop open the lid off a plastic tub and just start looking at them and stuff.
See, I used to do Comic Book Price Guide, which was another one. I did love Wizard. But see, I'm also a role player, so I used to do Dragon Magazine, Dungeon Magazine every month. I subscribed religiously to them. And after this last move, when we moved into this house, we just started running out of room. I got rid of them all, and I'm already telling you, it is the worst decision I have ever made. I mean, I had those going back into probably the mid '80s. You know, it was rough.
Yeah, well, I don't particularly want them cluttering up the house, but yeah, that's why I've been paying a storage bill for far too long. I've dragged a lot of this stuff all across the country and put it in storage. But yeah.
I mean, that's and like Dennis said, I can echo that because I've whittled down my comic book collection. I used to do it like once a year, and now there's stuff I've gone back and rebought, and just other stuff I'm like, I'm not going to rebuy it, but I wish I didn't get rid of it. So that's, you know, it is definitely a thing when you're in like the not just comic books, but magazines in general. If there's a magazine you collect, you know, when you first do it, like I collected Hot Rod as a kid because I love cars.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get the first couple and you're like, they don't take up space. And then 4 years later, you're like, holy crap.
Yeah. Later, you've got milk crates full of old Rolling Stones because Hunter S. Thompson or William Greeter were writing politics in them. You know, it's just like, what am I doing? What's also frustrating is for instance, you know, I've worked on a lot of magazines, and I once had the opportunity. I was at the Anaheim Supercross. We can get into why that would be, but I was at the Anaheim Supercross, and James Shatner was there. You know, William T. Kirk is there with some kind of plastic supermodel chick, a head taller than him. And I wasn't racing. I was there kind of in a PR. At any rate, I wound up along with him and one of my friends. We kind of took him out on the track walk and, you know, showed him the track. And I obviously called over one of my photographer buddies, and I'm like, you got to get a picture of me with Captain Kirk. And I've got that in a magazine somewhere. And in this particular little, you know, this microcosm that I'd love to show that off, and I can't lay my hands on it to save my life. It's in that storage facility somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
I just, you know, I mean, instant street cred, right? You know, it's like, yeah, here's me and Captain Kirk.
Exactly.
So sometimes it's frustrating when you want to reread a particular issue, a particular article. You're looking for something, and you've just got when you've got books. You know, I've got long boxes stacked to the rafters, and yeah, you know, I mean, some of it's clearly labeled, but some of it's like this has been drugged from one end of the country to the other, and now it's just impossible to find. So
sounds to me like it needs a good American picking weekend.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I've thought about having a street sale, you know, but I don't know. I might be the only person. Well, I guess I'm in good company here, but yeah, sometimes I wonder if there's the affection and the nostalgia for the printed page that I certainly have.
Yeah. No, there's two magazines I have from November '69. That's the month and year I was born. And one is a Life magazine. and it's from the week. It's not the exact day, but it's pretty close. And then I had to get it. I was at a show, within the past 10 years. Guy had a bunch of magazines. He had Playboys going way back. I'm like, let's see if he's got November 69. He sure did. So I'm like, I got to get that.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, I won't ever let go of that one. I won't let Dennis borrow it because then I'll never get it back because he was born in 69 as well.
Yeah,
although December.
The better month, yes. And besides, you always got your Playgirl from November that you can always hang on to.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a completist, Dennis. I don't want to just get the woman magazine.
Well,
that doesn't look good for the
back
men.
then there was only two. It was either
Right.
Playboy or Playgirl. I mean that was it.
That's right. I like to see what I could have been. So anyhow, let's talk about Rocket some. First and foremost, let's play the video and then we can get into it and all that fun stuff. So let me share this and hopefully the audio once I...
Rocket Magazine, built to propel indie comics into the stratosphere. A modern ode to publications like Wizard, Epic Illustrated, Alter Ego, and Heavy Metal. Featuring Billy Tucci, Dan Fraga, Andy Smith,
What?
Peter Cimetti, and Mark Bolton. Additional content, including tutorials and previews from the Barton Brothers, Camel Moon, Crowfire Studios, Kier Covington, Dean James, Rob Arnold, and many more. Become part of the mission.
Nice, short and succinct and to the point. Was that Niall Scala doing that voiceover?
Close. It was actually my partner in crime, Aldous on the Farm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that sounds just like Billy's partner in crime, Niall.
They both have excellent. It was funny when Aldous did the video at first. He was putting on this voice that was kind of that Sunday thing, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
you've got a great radio voice, Aldous. Just do it the way you usually. Yeah, because I'm envious of that sort of thing. I've got a face made for radio and a voice made for print media. So, yeah.
That's hilarious. I used to be on radio, and we would say that all the time. So
yeah, obviously not original. Well, I'd like to think that the face made for print media thing, that's my own.
Yeah, that's good.
I stole the first part, and then that's what
you just added to it. You just built upon it. That's all.
Well, writers, editors, that's our stock and trade.
Yeah, man, nothing wrong with that. So, what is your history? What is your origin story? Like, how did you come across? Like, have you been a comic book guy since you were a kid? Like, what's the deal?
I've been a comics fan since there was such a thing as riding your bicycle down to the supermarket and spinning the back around. That's or getting drug along by mom or grandma on their shopping trip, and I was good with it because I would go hang out at the spinner rack for as long as I could, and then begged, could you buy me this? Could you buy me that? Which was usually unsuccessful. But yeah, I mean, dating back to such a thing as spinner racks. Yeah, I was always very much into it. I went to a Thanksgiving dinner at my Aunt Tilly's house, and I had an older cousin, and he showed me his comic book collection. And I was at an impressionable age, and there was a Legion of Superheroes issue that Mike Grell had done the artwork on. And, that was the high boots Saturn Girl period.
Yep. Yep.
It made an impression. It was, it was just there when I was starting to figure out what my special purpose in life might be. And longtime fan. Yeah,
I want to say that was after, I think Grell came on after Dave Cockrum left.
Yeah, pretty much. Which, I found out later because I dove into it deep after that day. But yeah, it was just very visually arresting, exaggerated poses, obviously rather attractive women and a rather large variety of scantily clad type costumes. And that wasn't the only draw, but yeah, he had a whole big cardboard box. This was before they weren't bagged and boarded by any means. They were just pitched in there. But yeah, I basically spent the whole weekend, going through every bit of that. And I might even have Sorry, Carl. I may have slipped away with just a few of them. I mean, statute of limitations, I hope, is
That's right.
up with that. So, yeah.
Well, that's cool. And what led you down like this path to want to do this magazine, and what have you done before this? Because like I said, we've been on a couple of live streams, but not many, so I don't know that much about your background.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a bit of a confluence of events. Certainly, the biggest thing was 2015, 16. I'd kind of pieced out on going to the LCS every Wednesday. I'd done it for years and years, but I wasn't finding the kind of thing that I appreciated. And it hadn't gone full bad, but I wasn't finding what I was looking for. And I've always kind of like had a foot in two different worlds, one of which is motorsports, motocross, motorcycles, that sort of thing. And I don't know, the easiest way to say it is occasionally you render yourself an injury, and that gives you plenty of time to sit around and read. But yeah, at the time I was kind of just doing a lot of riding. I was training some local racer kids.
That's cool.
Doing some stuff to help out at the local track and all that. But I'd also reached the YouTube saturation point where I had watched everything on the internet regarding popping wheelies. I'd seen it all. And I just got to thinking, I wonder, let me type in comic books, and then you go down the rabbit hole that a lot of us did with our boy Zach when he was our boy, it was having the early days of Ethan's channel when he was like whispering in the kitchen and doing the behinds the story, going through this Flash and Green Lantern stuff and talking about those. That really kind of captured my attention. I've always liked, a little bit of the Rocket. I'm jumping around a bit here, but Ethan talking about the secret commentary or whatever he called those, the making of process. When DVDs were a thing, I would buy DVDs, not so much to own the movie, but to get all the extras, to get all the extra content, the making of, how they did the special effects, what have you. I really like the process of creation. Sometimes I find that more interesting than the final product. Ethan's deals where he was flipping through the pages and again, whispering so as not to wake up little Ava. Yeah, that drew me into that, and then the other kind of parallel path is that I always loved magazines when I was a kid. I've loved them my whole life. That really started with growing up in my granddad's motorcycle dealership, which had a lot of subscriptions, and my dad, who ran the service department at that shop, he subscribed to a bunch of motorcycle magazines and hot rod for that matter, and popular hot rodding and some of that stuff. Cause he built some cars. He had a 63 split window Corvette. He had a Torino with a 429. Dad was into the cars things. But I just loved the magazines. So I've always loved those. I wound up going to school. At some point, some English teacher plucked me out of the crowd and wanted me to be the editor of first the high school, and then later I was the editor of the college newspaper and college magazine. And that was kind of sheer happenstance. I guess they just thought that I could write, and it led me to believe that I could too. Better, I should say, that they would have said, you should learn a trade. You should be a plumber. That's what you should do, Steve. But nonetheless, here we are. So I did that, and then I, at the time, was actually making my way through school and those costs by working as the sports editor for a local newspaper, and got fairly adept at content production. But when all that was over, I went back to racing motorcycles because that's what I really wanted to do. And I was fortunate enough to be able to make a meager living, shall we say, for a number of years. And in the process of traveling around the country and competing, I also met a lot of people and made a lot of connections. And when that began to wind down, I somehow wound up going to work for a motorcycle magazine. First as a test rider, and also as a guy that could actually write about
Sure.
writing. And I don't know, that drew me in, and I wound up, basically being at the helm of running several motorcycle magazines, a couple of jet ski magazines, and that kind of thing, and picked up a lot of skills along the way as far as layout and design. And, I inherited an art director at one point that what she was doing looked more like highlights for children than anything a motorcycle guy would read. So I just kind of edged her out and took that over. So anyway, I worked in the magazine field for a long time. I'm again, I should have been an electrician, but I'm a classically trained journalist from back in the days when journalism wasn't a bad word.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So I guess that's a long-winded enough answer, but I've got an extensive history in publishing, and I got drawn into the Comicsgate sphere
Sure.
scene, what we used to call the community, and at that point it became, is there anything I can bring to the table here? Is there anything that I can offer? And so that's kind of how the idea congealed. That, and talking with Aldous on the Farm, who's my editor at large, and a few other people about there ought to be a way to document this, a way to kind of like preserve some of the history, because Comicsgate moves so fast. Independent comics, that whole thing, that it's been 5-6 years now, and it seems like it doesn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
So all of that.
Very cool. Randy, posting the link, doing it up. Thank you. And the link is in the description below too, so you can always catch it there. Well, here we have some of, I assume these are some of the interior pages from number 2.
Yeah, just a few samples. It doesn't really give the length and the breadth. One of the things there that's not really represented, I feel like I've talked enough for an hour already, but I'm tremendously grateful that you've made the time to be one of the kind of luminaries that are featured in there in a long form interview, like that little excerpt of the Billy Tucci thing. But something that is underrepresented in the preview pages, but it is, by design, unfortunately, is that kind of the idea is to take some of you really big name guys and spend some time with you and ask the questions that I don't often hear asked. All you guys do a lot of live streams, but it's a little more current events and current projects. And, I like to sit down with a man like you and get into your influences and, how you came to have the amazing career that you've had.
Sure.
And those are the long form interviews. The thing that's a little underrepresented is that there's also some much shorter Q&As with up and coming creators, and along with that, previews of the books that they're working on, 6 pages, 8 pages from something that's going to be coming out in the future, which makes it, of course, problematic to include on a campaign page because, oh,
totally. No, I get it. You don't want to spoil everything. I think you have enough information on the page to let the people know what they're getting. What's the page count again? I don't remember from the first one.
The first one was 120 pages.
Something like that. Yeah.
Pretty thick. This one is earmarked at 120, but I've had one of the things that I do in there is tutorials, and I do have a preview of the one that Dean James is doing. And Dean's a really stellar up and coming artist. It's at the bottom of the page, Andy. He's a great artist, and I think he's going to be a much bigger name in the near future. But he also kind of shocked me with his ability to explain the process that he uses in dynamic panel creation, and how he's got a focal point and the perspective. And the point would be is that was earmarked at 4 pages, and it's 6 probably.
Oh no,
it's just too good to leave out. So I guess the point is we are spilling over the 120 page count. There's a few other things that I can't bring myself to cut down to size.
No, I hear you. And that's the nice thing about doing this stuff yourself is you can add pages if you want. I mean, Kor-Drath started off as 64 pages. And now this live stream brought to you by Kor-Drath. The Reckoning by Dennis Turner and Andy Smith. It has gone from 64 pages to 76 pages. That's right.
Overnight, just like that.
Just like that, I wake up.
Giving him extra work.
He's giving me extra work. So go back, Kor-Drath, now. Where are you pointing at?
Absolutely, yeah. And congratulations on all your success on that. That's
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hojo says, how many issues per year are you guys looking at doing? I miss Wizard and comic scene so much.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, you mentioned that earlier, Andy.
Yeah.
And I'm happy enough to address that. The joke would be it's the quarterly magazine that comes out once a year. I would like to do it quarterly. I think monthly, I don't. Alas, I don't have the staff I used to have, and I'm sadly bereft, in particular, of the corporate credit cards. So I think that I'm quite confident. I used to do monthly magazines. Again, I had a bit more funding and assistance where I could say, transcribe this interview. That was great. That's what I miss most, is transcribe this interview.
That's right.
But there is, I'm confident that I could do for a year in terms of my own output. I'm completely confident that there is an abundance of talent and no end of the list of people that I would like to eventually feature in the magazine. So I'd like to work my way up to quarterly, but it really comes down to, what will the market bear? Honestly, it's been, I'm happy with the response I've had, but I did have aspirations and ambitions that the scene, that Comicsgate, independent comics, might really, really want a magazine that did sort of the same thing that Wizard did and sort of the same thing that Epic Illustrated did, another inspiration for it. And, sort of the thing that Roy Thomas did with his various publications. If the market will support it, I'd love to do them 4 times a year. That's the short answer. I'd like it to be quarterly, but
yeah. No, I mean, I think that'd be cool. I mean, if you can build up to just even twice a year, that'd be cool. And
well, that would be the next step, Yeah, biannual is the next goal. But again, it all depends. I never envisioned that it could possibly be one of these 6-figure behemoth campaigns by any means. But I was hoping that I could leg out a single here and there. It was never going to be a home run. But if I could, consistently kind of spray the ball around and hit it to right once in a while and leg out singles consecutively like that,
Randy's letting us know that, like Kor-Drath, Rocket is currently not searchable on Indiegogo. So if you can't back it now, please save this link for later.
Exactly.
My thanks to Randy for being a champion for us all in his promotional efforts.
Randy's like an ambassador.
He's awesome.
He's a real stalwart.
Yeah, absolutely. And then beyond that, I mean, it's kind of it's not helping, but I guess I take it a little bit like there would be, if this was the old school model and we were placing our wares at the corner LCS, that the local comic store wouldn't be under any real obligation to put my poster up in the window. I'm happy enough that they'll sell the book, I guess. It's a drag though. It's not cool.
No, dude. Like he said, we're in the same boat. So are a few other guys that we know. And it's just weird. 5 days left. Is that 5 of the first 30 or the second?
We're doing a 30-day campaign. I mean, it will go into demand. So I'm gonna try and create that false sense of, buy it now, buy it now, buy it now. But we're going to limit to it 30-day campaign so we can make sure. And, as you probably know, Andy, I'm sure what print runs used to be easily achieved, and that's gotten a little more difficult in the last year or so, and I don't want any hiccups or speed bumps along the way on that. So I'm definitely, I mean, we've almost reached the goal. That's great. The goal doesn't exactly put us in the black. It will remain in demand. We're going to keep pushing it, but I want to get it finished up and get it printed so that I can get it fulfilled
Of
right
course.
after the first of the year, hopefully.
All right, let's look at some of the tiers. The full payload is $115, which is discounted, and it includes the first issue, so that's awesome. So if you didn't get the first one, you can definitely get it. The second one, the T-shirt, the beanie, the koozie, Dennis, koozie.
Huh.
Say it.
Nope,
Say it.
not gonna.
That's because you don't
Not
pronounce it
gonna
right.
make it.
You don't want to look like a dummy on stream.
You've just made that a possibility.
Rocket Mission 2 cover poster, very nice. And Mission 2 badge stickers. That is a good deal right there for $115 for sure. All that nice swag. I know if Dennis got a T-shirt, he'd cut the sleeves off.
Absolutely would.
Good Lord.
We could arrange customization. I could send it to you with the sleeves cut off.
That's true.
Well, that's why I'm married. Any good shirt that I get, she just takes the sleeves off, sews them right up.
I can't wait to tell her that the only reason you're married is so she can sew up your sleeves.
She already knows that. You don't have to tell her.
No. He says, all you're good for is sewing up my sleeves. Other than that, I do everything. So the magazine itself is $25, which is also discounted. Nice. So definitely get that now. So so here's a good question. It's discounted here. When the campaign's like over and demand is over, do you have like a website or anything you sell on, or do you just keep it in demand? What do you do? And if so, does the price go up to normal if you missed it the first time around?
It's a good question, and I don't actually have a good answer.
Okay.
At this, well, I mean, I would like to work my way up to it, and I know that a lot of people are trying alternative methods and establishing their own website, and I would like to do that, not just for purposes of continuing to sell back issues, but also to have a place to park. There's a lot of overflow content.
Sure.
When I am fortunate enough to sit down with somebody like you, Andy, and take up an hour of their time, I'm going to run a 10-page feature-length interview, but there's still a lot of stuff that I would like to be able to publish at all. So at some point, I would like to have a website that allows for the sales of back issues and also is a home for some of that overflow content. But it again comes back to what will the market bear? Is there a demand? So
right.
Yeah. But the more succinct question is, I'm probably not going to mark it up. I mean, I feel like that's a more than fair price for 120 plus pages of content. But I wish it were feasible to sell them for $15. But
no, I hear you.
Yeah, print runs being what they are, it's a fairly heavy book to ship. Gemini mailers aren't free. All that sort of thing. So,
no, dude, hey, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I know you feel my pain. So.
I do. Mission number 2, the magazine, and the koozie, Dennis, for $35.
Got to keep your beverage cool, man.
You do, man. You got to kick back with a nice cold one while you read the magazine. And if you want to read it outside on a chilly night, you need a beanie to keep you warm.
Keep your head warm.
You can get the magazine and the beanie for $45. And if you're Dennis, even if it's chilly out, you'll still sit outside without sleeves. So you can get the magazine, the T-shirt, and the extras.
Hey, I don't know why you're picking on me.
The poster and stuff. I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. We were just in Tennessee. We were in Nashville, and it got down to 32.
I know you
did. I wear I did. I got a windbreaker, and I wore a windbreaker. Isn't that enough? That's enough sleeve.
That is. You still wore shorts like a fool.
Shorts and one of these shirts.
Well, there you go. And then we've got Orbit, which is let's see, the magazine, the T-shirt, the beanie, the koozie. So basically, it's all number 2 stuff without.
Yeah, it's everything. Sans
so there you go.
Issue.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's a good deal too. I think the shirt looks very cool. Obviously, it's from the cover, which the cover came out nice. Now, who did the cover art there? Morgan.
EJ Moore just did it. Yeah.
Yep.
Which, I couldn't be more grateful and thankful to EJ. He knocked it out of the park with that.
He did do a nice job on a specific character. I think we know who we're talking about. She, of course, is who we're talking about.
I don't know if I'll make public our conversation over Yeah, Andy, I want to use one of your characters. Well, which one? Well, there's a lot of yeah. Yeah, we could make it a little more gender appropriate if I had somebody on there besides she, and you were kind enough to allow that. I do appreciate
Yeah,
it.
dude, of course.
And plus, I know if anybody missed the first issue, I see you got a digital copy as an add-on.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, the basic deal is I'm firmly in the print media camp. It's really more aimed at international backers, but I will not, and I don't feel like I can. One of the things about it is that I've got, there's 20 plus creators involved in this. Some
Sure.
of the artwork that I'm getting, Peter Smutty's been kind enough to allow me to use some of Keir Covington's work from an upcoming issue of Cream Cryptid. You got to work all that out where it doesn't publish in advance. And certainly, well, I'll just say this. I'm never going to put out a digital until the next physical one is.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, totally.
Yeah. Eventually, the digitals will be available, but there is no digital for mission number 2 until there's a mission number 3.
Right. Which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, you can catch up on the back issues that way, but
right.
I'm trying to sell a physical product here to people that have a fondness for print media. So
sure. Bretsky the Great, any thoughts of advertising options, and he means inside the magazine?
I think that's pretty far off. I mean, certainly I'm a student of and a product of a more conventional publishing model where, loss leader subscriptions and low cover prices based on the fact that you're gouging your advertisers and it's, half the content in there is advertising. And that was a great model once. I don't know if it's applicable to the task at hand. And,
dude, I can't, I pick up a magazine in a store just to flip through it, and just to get to the table of contents, you burn through like 10 ads. And I'm like, Jesus, what the hell? The table of contents used to be open the front cover, bam, page 1, table of contents. Now it's like letter from the editor this, letter from this. Here's like 10 ads. Oh, there's the table of contents finally.
Yeah, well, that's the most valuable real estate. Under the old model, the back cover costs the most, the inside front covers next, then the inside back cover, and then those first 6-8 pages up front. That's the stuff where you can charge big money. But I mean, that's pretty far off for Rocket. You've got to have enough circulation to make that a worthwhile value for the advertisers that you might be marketing to. So
yeah. So let's talk. We'll keep this up so people can see the cover and stuff. Guys, the link is in the description below. So if you haven't backed it, go check it out. I think you'll like it if you're a fan of, magazines like Comic Scene, Amazing Heroes, things like that, Wizard. But on another note, so motocross, what type of bike did you use to race?
There was a time when the answer to that was whatever they'll give me a couple of for the year. I wasn't. Granddad had a Yamaha and a Honda dealership, so I'm naturally still brand loyal. And the majority of what I've held on to has been Hondas and Yamahas, with a few one-offs here and there. But I probably
now. Are we talking dirt? Are we talking dirt track or pavement?
Well, I've done a bit of both, but
okay.
Primarily, I was a motocross, arena cross, a little bit of a supercross guy. Jump and turn, jump and turn both directions and jump again. That was mostly it. My dad and my Uncle Joe were pro level flat trackers, and that's the going around in a circle, turning left type of thing. But I always wanted to jump stuff.
Dude, I'm right there with you, man. Before we went live, we were talking about it, and I only rode a dirt bike a few times as a teenager, but I was really big into BMX because I like jumping. I just like getting up in the air and doing all that, and I never did get to do it on a dirt bike. And I'm not super old, but I'll just say the time has passed on that. I like to keep my body parts and
I used to have some skills on a skateboard, but you're not getting me on one nowadays. I don't want to.
Oh, hell no. I never had skills on a skateboard, so
those are along with the wakeboard skills, the snowboard skills, all that other. Yeah, I
Oh,
don't
dude,
want to fall on my old hips that hard anymore. But
I
yeah,
started.
I was. Yeah, I mean, I started riding. They plopped me down on a motorcycle when I was like 4, so I started riding bicycles and motorcycles pretty much simultaneously. But yeah, I was definitely one of those kids that would, after school, we'd get a couple of cinder blocks and a big old plank and put
Yeah,
it out in the street and, launch our bikes off of it over and over and over. That was, yeah.
yeah, hell yeah. Could you do in the motocross stuff when you were doing the jumps? Could you do trick stuff in the air, or was it just straight up, take off and
Yeah,
land?
well, I mean, yeah, but I still can bust out a pretty decent double-legged can or a knack or something like that. But when it went
Yeah.
to, it was just as my racing career that was really winding down that the X Games stuff and all of that was really
Oh yeah.
blowing up. And I actually found that just jumping a metal ramp over and over is a whole lot less work than riding a whole motocross track with ruts and bumps and
I know, right?
holes and those ramps are super consistent, and I like doing that. It's a lot of fun. But then shortly thereafter, it became backflips and stuff, and I spent a whole lot of time trying to figure out how to stay above the motorcycle when I was floating
Right.
through the air. So when it went that way, I was just like, oh, I'm going to keep on doing my turn of the 90s tricks, and you guys go ahead and stretch the limits. But
Yeah.
I can still throw out a couple of tricks, but they're nothing that would wow anybody now in the age of YouTube and TikTok and Instagram bangers, and yeah.
So
But
can you pull a whole bike apart and put it all back together?
yeah, I can, and
Nice.
I rather enjoy doing that for the most part. Yeah, I like working on stuff.
I worked on cars a bunch when I was a kid. Like, we were in high school, we were part of the Motorheads, and it wasn't about motorcycles, it was all about muscle cars and stuff. So I can remember being like 17, and I grew up in Maryland, and this time of year, going to a friend's house over the weekend and dropping out his transmission in the driveway and putting a new one in. And
yeah. Well, I grew up. My granddad had a dealership that was Honda and Yamaha. He had Ducati and a whole bunch of stuff before.
Oh
that.
yeah.
When the Japanese thing came in, he just like bit that pretty heavy. He was a Datsun dealer before they became Nissan.
Oh
but
wow.
That's basically, we had the Nissan stuff and we had Hondas and Yamahas, and they put me to work early. I come from the kind of family where, 3rd or 4th grade, I didn't want to go hang around with my friends. I wanted to go hang around at the motorcycle shop, naturally enough. But they'd put a broom in my hands, go dust all the motorcycles, fill the candy machine, fill the pop machine, all that stuff in grade school. And then by junior high, I was setting up the new motorcycles that would come crated, kind of halfway disassembled, and was putting those together. But basically my after school friends were a bunch of ill-tempered, greasy mechanics, So yeah,
honestly, that's how mine were. I mean, we pulled whole motors out in a driveway of like a '69 Charger a friend of mine had.
Yeah. I'd have to go get the cherry picker from the guys over in the
base. That's what we did. We just go rent one and throw it in the back of his dad's pickup truck to bring it to the house so we could pull the motor out and stuff. And you don't see stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, well, that's how I grew up. Spin balancing my own wheels, changing my own tire, I was fortunate. Again, it wasn't. You'd think that if you grew up in a dealership, they're just going to give you a car or give you. No, they're not doing that. No. But in a certain way, setting up those motorcycles, it was almost the most money I ever had because I didn't have any bills, and they'd give me $5 for every one that was under 300 cc's, I think it was, and $10 for every one that was over. And also, once I had a couple $3,000 saved up, I tagged along with my uncle and went to the car auction and bought my first car, which was a pretty cool early 70s Mustang. And
nice.
Yeah, so it was.
Yeah, dude.
But it was really cool. So yeah,
I went to a couple of those car auctions back when I was a teenager. But I also remember we'd be hitting the junkyard around the few junkyards around town at least once or twice a month, looking for a tail light. or a headlight or some molding or some interior part,
Yeah,
stuff
my
like
Mustang
that.
didn't have the center console that was an option. So, yeah, I went to a salvage yard and then another
Yep.
one and then another one. And then I finally found somebody that had crunched their 71 Mustang, and there it was.
Yeah.
I'm putting that in my car,
Did you ever go
or
to the
whatever.
junkyard, Dennis?
Yeah, a lot
I
of times.
did. Junkyards, been to auctions. The only one that I really wanted to, which I've never been able to make it, I do want to see it. My favorite car is the 77 black and gold Trans Am, T-tops, Smokey and the Bandit. And I'd love to go to a Meacham auction where they're actually selling one, where I could actually see all those completely redone cars. So that I have not done yet, but yes.
It's no General Lee, but it's close.
You're right. There aren't many cars I would say that are better than a General E, but the Smokey and the Bandit car is.
Are you insane?
Aside from the gold, the gold trim, that's, you like it or you don't. Certainly a huge fan of the movie and anything Hal Needham ever did. I really liked Hooper, man. Hooper, that was
Hooper.
Hooper was great.
Yeah. But you do know those Trans Ams have a 403 Oldsmobile motor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You
fine.
didn't know that. Stop making shit up for Steve. Come on, you don't have to impress Steve.
Well, let's see, because
he won't look.
There were actually none of the ones that were actually in the movie none of them were produced because they had the body from one year and they had the engine from the other year, and they put them together, and they had 6 of them, I think, to start with.
I love F body cars. I'm a bit more of the split bumper Camaro, early 70s type of fan. But yeah, that's as much as I love me some Burt Reynolds. The earlier incarnations of the TA, I really like the 67, 69 era to be sure. But even when with the newer body style, I always liked a Formula 400. That was Pontiac through and through. They didn't have a big block Oldsmobile motor stuffed in there. There's also, it's a whole nother show, but the smog stuff, I mean, 71 was really the last year when you weren't encumbered by a lot of the smog stuff.
Right.
And so I love muscle cars, but my tastes skew a little earlier. And I'm also past the point where I'll ever be able to afford another one. So I just have to.
I don't see owning one. I mean, if I could get a muscle car, I'd get a 1970 Challenger. I just love that car.
My second car was a 78 Datsun 280Z.
Oh, okay. A friend of mine had one.
I love that car. And there was a time when I thought one of these days I'm going to get another one and I'm going to restore it. And the last time I was looking around, they're going for like $40,000.
Are they really?
With just huge rust problems. The same place that mine had rust problems.
Wow, crap! I can't believe you're going for that much.
I couldn't either. So, but they're not making any more of them, But yeah.
All right, Kara H just joined, and what's Rocket? Rocket is. If you remember Wizard Magazine and Comic Scene and magazines like that from back in the day, Rocket, this is volume 2, issue 2 of Rocket. It is a 120-page or more magazine that spotlights indie comic creators. It has tutorials in it. It has interviews in it. It has previews of books that are going to be coming out soon. And Steve is doing it all through crowdfunding. The link is in the description. Randy just posted the link. Definitely go check out the link and just read through it. You can still get issue 1 as part of this campaign as well. So if you're into comics and indie comics, Comicsgate books, things like that, you definitely would like this magazine. Issue 2 features Billy Tucci interview with myself and some other great creators as well as like we said, there's some tutorials in it, some previews. So I hope that is a good enough explanation for you, Kara. I think you would enjoy it, and you should definitely check it out.
Thank you, Andy. I can't even. I'd have to stretch to even add to that. Very well done, sir. I appreciate that.
I try. Dennis used to be a salesman. I'd like to say he's rubbing off on me, and that's not because we shared a bed in Nashville.
I was going to say, kudos, Andy. That was good until that last comment.
It's okay. It was a king.
So is Rocket
not like you were right there.
Annual So he kind of addressed that. I think it's annual now, and he
Yes.
would love to go quarterly, but I think
It's up
the
to
more
you guys.
people that subscribe, the more that does it. I think the more opportunity there would be for Steve to be able to go quarterly. But hey, baby steps.
That's right. You got to build it. If you build it, they will come. So there you go.
Yep, there
Randy,
you have it.
nice,
I'd like to
tight
work my way up to quarterly, but just buy this one, and we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You just grow it from each issue. And I did get the first issue. I've got nothing to gain by saying how cool it was. I wasn't in it. It's just it really brings you back to that Wizard magazine type of day. The production quality too, as you can see just from the couple pages you've posted, is really nice. It's not just like some fanzine where there's no design quality to it. You can see each different article and interviews designed nicely to give it its own theme. So the work is put in. Like I said, I recommend it. I backed it. I think I was one of the. I think I backed it in the first week or so.
Oh yeah,
So,
you did, yeah, and I very much appreciate the support. And
hell
that
yeah.
in turn has no bearing on I just wanted you in this one.
No, I
it
appreciate
didn't
it.
hurt that you were quick to back the first one, and it didn't hurt when you when you received it, you waved it around the air and said how much you liked it. But I appreciated
Yeah.
that enthusiasm. But yeah, with your long and storied career and all the things that you've done, I really like. It's my feeling. In a stilted way, I'll bring this muscle cars and comics magazine thing together and saying that we all have a certain roadway to success. They talk
Yep.
about learning from your mistakes, but a lot of times
Yep.
I think learning that's a little like trying to find your way through Missouri with a road map of Mississippi. It's not really the same thing, but everybody has very unique success story. Billy Tushy and how he wanted to do She with Image. Image wasn't
Yep.
interested, and that's
Yep.
much to Billy's eventual benefit.
Hell
of
yeah,
course.
it is.
Oh, yeah.
And then Dan Fraga, how he was in comics at a really early age, at a very ground floor level, but then kind of wound up doing a lot of video production and doing stuff for MTV back when that was a thing.
Yep.
And yourself, Peter Samedi, who was a comic creator initially, but then decided to jump off into distribution and played the
Yep.
diamond game for a while. And then when that became a bit troublesome, now he's forged his own completely independent path as a distributor of other people's works, including his own.
Yeah.
So I like a good success story. And
I hear you.
and we're trying to create some as well. Keir Covington, not that being in the first magazine had anything to do with it, but I did see him really early and solicited one of his pieces for my super fan art section, just because I thought Keir was doing great work. I didn't know the guy, but he was doing some great stuff, and he agreed, and he was in the fan art section of the previous one, but subsequently, and again, nothing to do with being in the magazine, totally owing to his own talent and determination and drive, he's now working with Peter at Alterna and doing issues of King Cryptid. And in addition to the interview with Peter, I'm going to talk to Keir a bit and talk about kind of his ascension into doing some regular work and have a preview of his work on King Cryptid. So
Cool.
it's if I can play even a little tiny piece in somebody's success story, that'd be cool.
Well, the numbers, I refreshed, the numbers have gone up, so you're less than 200 away from the goal now. It's at 48.24.
Thank you.
So $176 to go. Is that math correct, Dennis?
That is right, Andy. $176. We got 5 days left, so it's good until Monday when this campaign will close out. But it will go in demand, so if you can't do it right now, that's fine as long as you're able to do it while it's in demand.
That's right. Steve, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to wrap this puppy up for the.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's a pleasure. I enjoy the show and listen often, and it's a privilege to be on here. So thank you.
I appreciate it. We're going to wrap it up with a little Kor-Drath, The Reckoning. That's right. Kor-Drath, The Reckoning is now in demand. The fun part of the phase, I guess you could say. I'm working on the book. I finished another page today. Got another one started. There's something for everyone in this. If you like Conan, if you like Game of Thrones, if you like Dungeons and Dragons, you will like Kor-Drath, The Reckoning. It is barbarian badassery. Kor-Drath's tribe is overrun by the undead, led by the Necronite. They're looking for something. We can't tell you what. That would be a spoiler, but they slaughter his tribe. And now Kor-Drath is going to bring hell down upon him for doing it and try and find out who did it and why they did it. So check it out. We've got lettered pages up here. Now, the 2-page spread's kind of hard to read because of how Indiegogo's set up, but maybe get a magnifying glass. Then we've got, so it's page 2, 3, 4, and 5 are up here. 5 I just put up today, lettered, so you can see that one. I've got 1 and 6 as well, which I probably will put up too, so you can actually read pages 1 through 6, colored and lettered. 5 different covers to choose from. My main cover. You've got the Virgin wraparound cover I did. The black, white, and blood cover. Gotta love that. Black, white, and blood. The very awesome Bud Root variant cover. Mr. Bud Root, just great at fantasy art and babes. Colored by Dan Lawless. The throwback Conan homage cover that I did. Always loved that issue of Conan and that cover. Had to do a homage to it. And then you can read some about the characters and the story, so you can get a little bit into Kor-Drath's world without any spoilers. I've got an oversized artist edition for $65 here, but when the campaign's over, it goes to $80. Hardcover, 88 pages, all my artwork scanned in full color so you can see the gradations in ink and the whiteout, because I guarantee there is whiteout on every page because I'm a sloppy inker. And then we've added a game module, so now you can read the book and play the game. Dennis, over to you. Tell them a little bit about the game module.
Well, the game module is obviously set within the Shattered Reach, which is the world for Kor-Drath that is being created. It's going to fill in. It's part of the world building. There is going to be a lot to it. It isn't just a plain old standalone game. This will tie in directly with the book, and you don't need to have either or, but they work great together. You're going to be introduced to a 4th tribe that we don't even get to into the comic book. But you can either make up your own adventure, or we've already unlocked the first couple of stretch goals. You can actually play a couple of the characters if you want. It's totally up to you. If you guys are old school, and I am doing it retro style in the old classic style from the early 80s when Dungeons and Dragons was released, it is going to be a retro homage campaign style done exactly like the old ones. Great with the inside dungeons and everything like that. So this is a really fun piece. It's going to help broaden the world building, and it's a really fun piece.
And when we hit 70,000, the next stretch goal, you and everybody that backed the campaign will get the Shattered Reach map. So you can know where the stuff is happening. Like Dennis said, the 2 character cards are already unlocked with the stats on the back. So these are playable characters, not just for Kor-Drath, but any D&D type role-playing game. And at 80,000, the Lilith stretch goal will be unlocked. Her character card as well. I added that today so people could see what we're going towards. So guys, back at today, we've got t-shirts, the Kor-Drath t-shirt,
the awesome heavy metal one, and the Bud Root.
And the Bud Root Lilith t-shirt.
Due to popular demand, you were asking for it.
That's right. You asked, and we answered. So go check it out. We've got to get it all tier so you can get everything in one tier. And if you want, you can just get yourself a beanie. And if you want 2 covers, you can get any cover you want because all the covers are add-ons as well. So you can customize your order and have it your way, just like you can at Burger King. Oh. Have it your way.
And if you guys have already backed it and you got money burning a hole in your pocket, you can buy Andy and I a beer. So when we do our live stream after the campaign is done, we will be doing our usual live streaming right from one of the local breweries, and you guys can
Nice.
all be a part of it.
That's right. Buy us a beer because we like to drink, and we like to drink beer. Now, I like to drink good beer. Dennis likes to drink swill, but that's okay.
Yes, real beer. Yes.
Right. I said that.
If you can see through it, it's not beer.
Oh, I should have made this one darker for you as well.
You should have. Actually, I said that before. That's not my beer.
Make your own graphic then.
Okay.
All right, guys. Until next week, next Wednesday, 5 o'clock, we'll have another guest to be determined, or maybe I know, and I'm just teasing. You'll have to wait and find out till probably Monday when we announce it. We will catch you guys then. Check out Kor-Drath. If you've backed it, share it. Sharing is caring. I tell Dennis that when he gets a 2-pack of ho-hos, but he still won't share one of his hos with me.
Nope. You get none of my ho-hos or zingers.
Nope. Bastard. And we'll catch you guys next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Live long and prosper, everybody.
Back us on Indiegogo.